anybody in here, and she's doing everything exactly like how we all know.
And in New York, that's so on point because you hear those voices, you hear those characters all day, you see it all day. So you're doing something everyone can relate to in the room, and they can't believe it's coming from you.
They can't believe it. And that's why I say it's a little like a ventriloquist at a rock concert, because you're like, what is this? This is interesting. All right, yeah, give it up for this motherfucker. Brave. That's what I got all the time.
But I'm sure, brave. And that threw you in it.
But that was where I got into the scene. Mm-hmm. So I won that contest. Man, I won that contest 4 times in a row.
Oh,
it got to the point where I would show up and they'd like, no, Jessica, ma. You know, they'd be mad.
Hey. Y'all already know what time it is. FiendCity Podcast, episode 26. You know, we're in Muse Me Studios, chilling with my boy Angel, Young Ani.
Woo-woo. Hey, everybody.
And we got a guest this is probably the guest I've been most excited to have on my podcast. Long time coming. Someone I can't wait to learn more about, get closer to. Y'all give a warm welcome to my good friend, Jess Wood.
Hey, everybody.
What up, Jess? It's good to see you, girl.
So good to be here.
Oh, so man, I've seen you at the mic the last 2 nights in a row. You know what? I have a weird thing about open mics and being in the room. I'm always kind of just outside the room.
Yes.
Or in the corner. But you're one of the comedians that I sit right up front for, because I'm like, you can't miss this, because it's always going to be different. It's never just going to be the same jokes. You're going to learn something, and you're going to see how somebody could work a room different than you can.
Thank you.
So it is awesome to have you and a pleasure to have you, Jess.
Same. I feel the same. And I don't know if you, well, of course, you must remember doing my show.
Of course.
But you were the first person I reached out to in Albuquerque.
I do remember that.
You know?
And I actually like hold a lot of like honor to that. I'm like, I'm Jess's first.
He broke my cherry.
We're gonna get all the jokes in tonight. I was her first in Albuquerque, and that's how you do it right. So, you know, I definitely remember that, and I want to jump back on, because if y'all don't know, I want to plug it right away, because your channel is amazing. So shout out where people can find you online, because you do great live content.
Thank you. Get Wood is my stuff, but I just was banned from going live for some reason. So now I'm Get Jess Wood on Instagram every Tuesday. But the shows are up there. They're all...
Okay, so they're all up there.
The cat.
I know. That's our mascot, Litton. He's still not been on camera, but he's definitely been heard.
Poor baby.
They know that Angel has to run out there to get it. Last time, Angel's girlfriend's fire alarm went off making dinner. So this is a real podcast.
Hey, this is live, baby.
This is live, yo.
Direct.
So, yeah, so we're out here. So, yeah, I'm so happy. So how long have you been living in Albuquerque for now?
Just a little over a year.
Okay, so you made your year point.
Yeah.
You're fully embedded in a part of our scene now.
I am. Oh, you guys have really embraced me. It's been unbelievable. I have to just thank you guys. I feel really a lot of gratitude to be here.
And you know what? I really feel that we're like grateful to have you. And there's so many times where a comedian can move to your scene and make it better. But being in a place where we don't have clubs, a lot of us are kind of young and just getting going. We don't really, there hasn't been too many people in the game that are coming back and offering advice or even sticking around. So the fact that you come and you give your experience and you're just so real, like you're unapologetically yourself, and it's my favorite. That's my favorite thing.
Thank you.
And it's just undeniably funny. You can't hate on someone that's so honest, like, you know what I mean? And when you're on
white people do a great job of that. Actually, my people don't love me as much as, you know.
Yeah, she's like, I do really good in the Latino rooms, but
black and Mexican love me. Puerto Rican, hell yeah, but white people, no.
You're like the opposite of Friends.
Yes. I hate Friends. I hate Sex and the City. I'm more of a Claws girl, if you know what Claws is, the nails thing, but. You know what's fun, Zach, is that I came here, I didn't know one person. I came on the just advice of a friend of mine, Baron Vaughn, who's actually a very established comedian.
Yeah, for sure.
Black comedian that I started being friends with in New York. We've been friends for almost 20 years. He's amazing, has an amazing resume of stuff. I mean, he did a show called The New Negroes on Comedy Central. They had a season or two.
Okay.
And they had all these black comics that they showcased that never would have been showcased in any other venues. So
it's so important for people to get platforms like that.
Yeah. And he's my heart. I mean, he's my brother. And
he said, you got to come to Albuquerque.
He said, I got to come to Albuquerque. And I said, why, Baron? Why Albuquerque? And he said, because the white people there will understand you.
Okay.
That's what he said. He said, but it's got to be Albuquerque. It can't be Santa Fe.
He's right
and
with
I
that
didn't
for
know,
sure.
but then I went to Santa Fe and I was like, oh no, Patagonia, hell.
Yeah, exactly.
It was horrifying.
It's just like fake turquoise everywhere,
Yeah.
Indiana Jones hats. All the girls look like different versions of Johnny Depp characters from movies. Santa Fe's just weird.
And it was weird. It was kind of backwards and just, I don't know. I went and did a show there last week or a couple weeks ago, and we walked in and they were playing Eric B and Rakim. So I was like, hell
here
yeah.
we go.
I came in, ow. And then I looked around and like slowly my smile faded. Like I was like, there's not even one white person in here with like a interesting hairdo or, you know what I mean? Like not a tattoo.
No.
Not nothing.
Not at all. They all have the Boy Meets World like curly hair.
Yeah,
like,
it's so
like, how do you all
weird.
have curly hair like that? Santa Fe is a different place for sure.
But Barron told me to come over here. And so I said, look, Barron, I'm not just going to go to a city I don't know one person in.
Yeah.
Let me go visit. I'll go visit it. And this is during heavy pandemic. Like I came to visit in like August of 2020.
Okay.
And so I took the train here and I got an Airbnb in Barales and I walked around and I talked to people and I took the bus and because I took the bus in LA.
So that's how you kind of got to, because I noticed just because I'm in the downtown community that you got close to the downtown community and the art walks at some, and I think it's dope because I see a lot of our mutuals. Yeah, I think of a lot of our mutuals are a lot of artists and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that goes to show that you are in the right place at the right time. And you're one of the few people. Oh, just to pause you, I did that open mic at the coffee shop that I did last month, right? During the day. And there was some really cool, like, kind of these like goth chicks, and they were talking, and one of them lives here, one of them didn't. And she's like, you have to follow this comedian, Jess Wood.
Oh, wow.
And I was all, must follow her. I was like, you must follow her. And she's like, she's so funny. And like literally be in a situation where we're talking comedy and someone brings up like someone you have to follow, and you're like, no, that's my friend. You bet, like you got to. And to see that shine, it's so dope to see that shine in a fellow comedian in a natural setting. Like it's so organic, and to see your name get brought up and to be able to vouch for your friend, it even feels so much better because you're like, yeah, they do amazing stuff. So
thank you. Yeah, well, Zach, I mean, that was the thing. People talk to me like they knew me here. Like people talk to me, they look me in the eye when they talk to me. They were very real. Nobody put on airs. Nobody put on a fucking weirdness. Even I went to a shop at the co-op and they thought they were like, what's your number? And I'm like, my number. And they're like, your co-op number. And I was like, you think I live here? I was like, fuck, I gotta move here. I gotta move here. And like everything, you know, I was raised by a white woman who didn't want to be white. And
shit, I feel that.
Lived in Santa Fe in the 80s. My mom, like she left me for a while, and my mom left a lot. But she was in Santa Fe for a while, and she's very into like indigenous and brown people. Like I wasn't allowed to do Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh damn! So she was like pre-woke.
Yeah,
she was
she's like
woke
Angela Davis.
Woke.
Like she's like Black Panthers. Like she's fucking bad.
Like she hasn't slept since the 80s.
No,
she's
exactly.
awake.
Like, she's like,
woke
no,
as shit. Yeah.
Don't fucking sleep on this shit. I mean, she was wild, and she would be, you know, she was a wild
and to each their own, man. Everybody, exactly.
It was a beautiful. That's one of the beautiful things that I think I got from her was this understanding of the reality of where we live.
Okay.
And this country and the blood, you know, on our hands.
And that's so dope.
And so honestly, when I got here and I was talking to people and I was walking around, everything's named after like tribes and women, and I was like, yo, this is where it's at. I mean, think about, I was living in Hollywood, which is a bunch of bullshit. It's all fake, and I was raised there. But
so I want to get back into it. So Hollywood is the last spot you moved.
Yeah,
you were in Hollywood right before
here.
So wild.
Yeah.
So wild. So you left Hollywood 2020 and came to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah, when everything was shut.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
And very similar move, because I feel like Albuquerque like followed California's shutdown rules. It was almost like, let's see what Cali does, and we'll keep it just as tight, because we were pretty tight up until the end. And I think if you said you came here August 2020, that was I think the 1 month we opened up a little bit.
There was a little bit of action, but we all still had masks. We all still were doing our thing, and I didn't move in August. I just came for a few days to check it out.
Okay.
And I was so in love with it. When I left, I was like, wait a second. And all the dudes, like all y'all are hot. Like, I mean, even the two dudes I'm sitting with right now, like, I'm like, shut up. Like, everyone's so gorgeous here. It's amazing. For me, I'm like, and you know, I don't want to sound like
I've said it like 5 times at mics. I've said it like 5 times at mics and to Jess. And I'm I'm like, just so you know, you're the hottest chick in our comedy scene.
I think it's just because I look different. I don't think it's because I'm cute.
You're like, you step it up. You step up our comedy scene sexiness tenfold.
I appreciate y'all.
Angel's wet right now. You don't even know.
We're all moist in here. 3 moist.
Better watch out. You better watch out for Angel. He's trying to get ate out.
I think he did behind a car earlier.
I think Angel got ate out at the open mic.
I think he got ate out in the corner of the room.
Oh, shit, boy.
Oh, my God.
Young Ani, you're getting wild, my boy.
I love it.
What has comedy done to you, my friend?
I love it. But Joe, back to the downtown scene, it was really trippy for me because like when I moved here, I didn't have a car. I didn't know one person. I didn't know shit. So I didn't know the neighborhood. I didn't know I was walking in like the war zone. You know what I mean? And I'm like, how come everyone keeps pulling over and thinking I'm a hooker? Like I had to yell at so many people. I'm like, I'm not a hooker, but I'm used to that.
Like I'm not a hooker, but subscribe to my OnlyFans.
I know, but get wood. Yeah. So it's strange for people. They're like, get wood, but you don't want to fuck? Okay.
You're like, no, but just listen.
Like, I can make you laugh. Yeah. Like, no blowjobs. So I'm like, apocalypse. So I'm like, we'll have to wait till that. But
you're like, no, I just want the lips part. You're like, no, but that other part's more scary.
It is scary. But the first thing that opened here, as you know, was the first thing that opened for the public was the art walk.
Yes.
So what I would do is I would take the bus down to Art Walk. I do a live from Art Walk.
I remember seeing you at one.
Yeah, and I was so psyched to big up the community that I was in. I was so psyched on all the artists and all the wares that everyone had and music and graffiti. I was like, forget it. And I would talk to my aunt in New York, my auntie. She's like, did they build this city for you? Because every time I call her, I'm like, and the lowriders and the graffiti artists, and she's like, this city is like your city.
That is wild, yeah.
And I go, yeah, I know it's, and I didn't know anyone, so I was just talking to people, and as I got to know people, right,
I met
the
a
artists,
girl I freaking halfway fellow head over heels for during our shit. Paint me like your French girls.
I mean, really though, it was.
But I met a lot of cool people, and I love seeing the art. And I remember seeing you being the only other comedian, and you had just moved here.
Yeah. And just got here when that happened.
Did you do any of the Red Velvets at all during that weird time? Did you pop in any of those?
No, because you. Okay, so remember I met you. No. You were good. You were my angel because it was. You told me come down to Red Velvet, and it was when it was off Manal. Or something like that.
I do remember.
And homeboy, I was like, no.
Dick,
I just was like double fucking fuck yous.
Yeah.
But I was so much more even hyped on you. And I don't even hang with that girl anymore. Anyway, but
it is what it is.
I God bless everybody.
Everybody's tried their best.
He was so mean.
I remember
and, like,
specifically
weird.
that, and it turned me off because it's like I wouldn't vouch for someone some slack.
It was insulting to you.
It was,
and it was insulting to me.
And it wasn't like you were just passing through for a weekend. It's like this person's moving here and becoming a part of our scene.
It was just this whole energy, and then that spot too. I was like, I'm not paying money.
Yeah, the Slytherin hangout. Looks like the fucking walls are bleeding.
Yo,
like why are the walls wet? You're like that shouldn't be.
But that's when I met Maverick.
That's when. He was in town for a quick little weekend. I'm sure. Yeah. So it's crazy how
I never went back.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And so it's funny how things are circular because even this last week, like even now, Maverick's just in town for a couple days.
Yeah.
And it was like first time seeing you perform.
Yeah.
And he was so stoked on you, and I'm like, you have no clue. This like her comedy background, bro. She's a beast, bro.
It's a lot of stuff.
I even told him, I want our definitely guests to know, but you were the first female to ever appear on a Def Jam comedy.
White female. Yes, white.
White female. So but that's huge. Because Def Jam, that's hood. That's like.
Oh yeah, but I'd only been doing it 1 year, and I'd only done black rooms. Like I came up in New York City in the black rooms. Like,
and you ain't afraid. If you could kill in a black room, you ain't afraid.
You don't
of nothing.
have. Yeah, you have no. I mean, white people.
Yeah.
Just like black people, I'm also scared of white people.
Of course.
Yeah, it's the same.
You know what? I kind of like grew up in a similar thing. So my only older brother is half black, different dads, and I grew up. I remember being a toddler and seeing my mom get all this shade for having a mixed kid. Yeah. From guys, girls, whatever it is. I remember my brother coming, like I saw a different growing up, and I appreciated it a lot. And I was the same way. Like I remember seeing my brother deal with a lot of things that I would never understand, and seeing how him and my mom would have to navigate that definitely made me a lot more cognitive and aware growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
And a lot more, I think just I'm a little empathetic to that people's like situations and backgrounds and surroundings. And I feel like I deal with it now too because I'm a Latino comic that doesn't look Latino.
Right.
I look like white, Latino, and Asian. I don't even know. Like I need to get a 23andMe quick because every year there's like another. Like I look 17 different races and I know it. So, and now I feel like that because I don't fit into Latino rooms.
Right.
I'm a Latino comic, but I'm not like Felipe Esparza or George Loeb. I'm not like, hey, fuckers, what's up? Like,
yeah, no.
So I have to go to a different approach with the way I do my Latino comedy.
Right.
And
but it's from your point of view, and that's the thing about the mainstream and stereotypes is that they don't understand that there's
so what did
there's
these
a
rooms
Latin
think
guy
when Jess Wood hit the scene? We're like,
oh my God. Well, in a way, now I look back on it and I go, in a way, it's kind of like when a ventriloquist shows up at a rock concert, where everyone's like, well, what the fuck is this?
Exactly.
Okay. Check this out for a second. You know what I mean? Like they
you had about 5 seconds.
I had about 5 seconds. So what I did was my set consisted of me. It was all act outs and it was all characters because I didn't know how to talk in my real voice yet. But I also didn't know how to talk in my real voice in general. I had mad multiple personality disorder. I had like heroin addiction that I was coming off of.
This is all when you're starting.
All when I started. And the reason I got off heroin is because this guy, this crazy fucking comic at the comic strip, well, I had become homeless. I lost my apartment. I lost all my shit. Because that's what happens when you do heroin. If you do it right. And so I got a job. I knew I always loved comedy and I was raised around comedic actors and stuff.
Of course.
So I knew I liked it. So I went to the comic strip on the Upper East Side in New York City, and I got a waitressing job because I was like, I like comedy.
Okay, cool.
Now at the time, you guys are gonna freak out. It was like Dave Attell. I mean, at the club every night. It was like Dave Attell, fucking Chris Rock.
Seinfeld's probably popping in.
Seinfeld comes around. Well, no, he was in LA. He was shooting his show because this was the 90s still. It was like the early... Oh God, mid 90s, I guess, when that was happening. I was such a fucking baby. Anyways, so this is
mid 90s.
This is mid 90s
in New York.
In New York City, like Louis C.K. and Sarah Silverman, and I mean these are the regulars at this club. So I get to see all these people all the time. But I'm, still a little fucked up on heroin. So they still let me work because everyone was fucked up at the time. Yeah. So this comic called Rick Shapiro, who's anyone knows it, he's out of his goddamn mind, and he talks to you like this, and he's talking crazy. Okay, he always has a pinky out, so and he's very like,
it's like, do I still home? I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, he's giving you fucking signs. So he said he used to fuck with me at the job. I think he wanted to fuck, but also he would do like voices to me, and I hung out with cholos and shit, so I would always be like, shut up, fucker, and he was like, what? Like, and then he's like, you're a fucking comedian. And I was like, nah, I'm a junkie waitress. And he was like, no, you're a comedian. And so he wrote a show. He goes, I wrote a one-man show and I want you to be in it. And I go, but it's a one-man show. I'm not that fucked up.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I'm casting all the voices in my head and you're going to be all the women voices. And so I was like, all right. And I'd done some acting.
Okay.
So I thought, all right, I'll go do some theater downtown. I'm fucked up. I lived near the theater. I lived in Lower East Side. I used to get my dope in Lower East Side. It seemed really good. But then
I all kept it on the same block.
Exactly. I knew everybody. It was all good. I was familiar. And then he asked me for one of the scenes, you have to write a joke for one of the scenes. You have to write a joke. And I was like, well, I never. And he goes, write a joke. You'll figure it out. Just write it. So then I wrote the joke. And long story short, I did the joke at the show. The audience laughed so hard that the high from that better than the heroin.
Oh,
and so I was like, I'm putting it down. And he was a sober guy, so he would take.
Did you felt like the power change? You're like, this is all I need from now on.
Like a Jesus, like when people go, oh, and then I was touched in the blah, 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 I mean, I don't know about Jesus.
I kind of say like when I got like my first pop, I felt like an X-Men that just found his superpowers.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's funny, everybody has their own feeling of whatever that is, but that was so powerful that pulled you out of whatever you had going on, it
pulled me out.
And did you just go all in from there, or did it take a little bit to?
Oh, you mean all in comedy?
Did you were just like open mic start, or did it take a little bit to get?
Yeah, I was still really fucked up. I mean, I realize it now, and I say that Albuquerque. I was in special ed as a kid, and I call Albuquerque my special ed class.
Oh yeah,
because
Definitely.
Right, but because LA and New York are like public school. That's like huge and overwhelming, and everyone's climbing over to get better and the better grades and the better prom. I don't fucking know. I dropped out in 10th grade, but before that, I was in special ed. So I feel like I needed to learn how to live. You know, I didn't know how to live. I was like a heroin addict who was, you know, I did phone sex. Like I was a degenerate person.
It was just kind of whatever to get to the next fix.
Yeah, I was just like, and so I needed an apartment. I needed to be clean. I needed, you know, so comedy wasn't really like, oh, I knew it was good for me because it got me off the drugs.
Okay.
And it felt better than anything I'd ever done before. So he was really good to me, and he put me in his show. And his show happened to be in the Lower East Side in this weird theater called Surf Reality.
Okay.
Surf Reality, man. There was a theater around the corner called Collective Unconscious, because that's how, you know, it was trippy.
Yeah, for sure.
So everyone, like this one chick, she used to paint in her period blood. And
oh, that's wild.
Oh, yeah. No, it was like full on New York City, Lower East Side performance art. Like you can't, like one dude used to edit, these were the open mics they had, and the one guy would just take the microphone and bang it against the amp for 6 minutes. You know, you have 6 minutes. You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
That is, yes. I thought our open mics got crazy.
No, this is nothing I saw a chick pull an onion out of her pussy once, a bulbous onion, not a chive.
Bulbous?
Not a chive. Like a white bulbous onion.
She had the whole Bulbasaur up there. I think it was evolving, yo.
The smell. But so we're working out of this theater. I'm working with, you know, Rick and his show, and the people who own the theater really liked me, and they were like, we really like you. Would you want to be in our group? We have this, it was a comedy sketch group, but it was a dominatrix. It was an S&M comedy sketch group. Okay. Called the Bondage Theater Players.
That is wild.
Yeah, and the woman who owned the theater, her and her husband, she was Mistress Elsa. Okay. So we were the doms of Mistress Elsa and her doms. So I happened to have the outfit because I was training to be a dominatrix at the time. That is so wild. It's weird how life and art, you know, collide constantly.
That is so wild. It really is.
I couldn't do the dominatrix job for shit because I'm like a codependent, and are you okay? You know, I'm like, I couldn't handle it.
Like, for as much as you wanted to be in power, you're like, are we still good though?
I know, and there's so much money in it. And the chick who hired me was like, you're perfect, you know, you're perfect. And I was like, not really. But I was perfect in the Bondage Theater Players. Okay. And we would sing and dance. You know, we did like all these parodies of different shows. Cool. Like West Side Elsa, you know.
And this is still mid-90s.
Yeah, like, going through it. And I wanted to do more stand-up, but what was weird was it was very interesting, the broad divide between stand-up at the time and like performance and alternative comedy or art. Okay. Everyone really hated stand-up because they thought that it was, you know, it was everyone gets a fucking sitcom, and everyone, it was that
was the era.
That was the time.
That was the era.
It's like Brett Butler and every single show was a comedian. So to these like way out there, funky ass, you know, dirty Lower East Side New Yorkers, they were like, fuck that, what are you gonna sell out? You know,
did you ever meet Joey Diaz during that time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Gosh, that was wild.
Yeah.
Did you guys like ever hang or anything, or
no,
just like
but,
in passing?
We had good rapport.
Cool. That is cool.
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
Cool.
I was very lucky to meet a lot of really great people and perform with a lot of great people.
Do you see any of the Boston guys like Burr, Rogan? Did they ever pop into that?
Well, Bill Burr had just started.
He was
he was just a little guy with a lot of hair. You know what I mean? It
Rogan probably too. Yeah.
Yeah. And Rogan. I mean, I never really loved Rogan because his style wasn't what I was into.
Exactly.
I was very much into the black comedians.
Okay.
And I always have been.
Yeah,
like those were usually my go-to. It's like a Pryor or someone, you know. But yeah, then I don't know what got me. I guess the Def Jam. I don't know how come I started to go out again.
And it was only a year, right? You said only a year.
Only a year.
How did they get? Who asked you? Who approached you to do that?
So I guess because I started doing open mics again because of excuse me. I'm terribly sorry. This is such a good story and I'm fucking it all up.
No, you're good.
All right. So I did the show with Rick. So I did the joke, but I hadn't gone to clubs or anything. So I was really scared to go to clubs.
Okay.
So I looked in the paper. This is how long ago it was. I'm like looking through the Village Voice for like an open mic.
Okay.
And I found a contest at the New York Comedy Club, and it was called the Best Amateur African American Comedy Contest.
You're like, this is
I was like, I'll go.
This is my contest.
I'll go. And if they tell me to leave, I totally get it. Hi,
sure.
hello.
Yeah.
But I went, and you had to pay $10 to get into the contest.
Okay.
But you could win $50. Now remember, I'm down on my luck. I'm like,
I need this
you're like,
50. That's 5-1 odds.
I'm going for it. And I got there. I was not only the only white person in the club, I was also the only woman on the show. Period. There was no other women on the show at that particular contest. I won.
That is so dope.
And I won with, and I was starting to tell you I get really sidetracked, but I won because I used to come out as a black guy. Like, not like, nothing horrifying. I don't think. It was just like guys I knew.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'd be like, hey, what's up, girl? What's up? You know, and I was like, yeah. And this is how long ago it was. I used to do a reference to, because in the black rooms, if you reference like a rap song,
okay,
oh my God, it's such a good, you get everybody on your side.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'd be like, I come out, they would not expect, and I'm in a dress, you know, a blonde girl, and I'm like, what's up, girl? You wear condoms? And then she'd be like, yeah, I got it, because I like it raw. Okay. Baby, I like it raw. I mean, that's a long time ago, old dirty bastard.
Sure. Oh, for sure.
But I thought that was so.
But then Wu-Tang in New York too.
God,
it's just like, yeah.
And they had just come out a few years before that, and it was like so fucking booming in the clubs. And so they were like, this girl.
So you were almost started off, like you said, doing characters, almost impressions, act out.
The whole time. Never my voice, Zach. Never once my voice. Like, it's interesting for me now. I'm so proud of myself how far, but it's taken a million years. But I would just, hey, what's up? What's up? And then from that character, I would go into a white girl and I'd be like, oh my God, you guys, I'm so sorry. That was like scary. Am I right? And then I'd go into a Puerto Rican girl. Like, I just went, I'm like, have you, like, I go to reggae clubs and I go dancing, but it's almost like, you know, what did the bit? It was like the nature channel, you know, the wildlife channel. The unsuspecting white female wanders into the Jamaican male's den. You know, and I'm like a child doing this too. So there's this young girl on stage, white. She doesn't look like anybody in here. And she's doing everything exactly like how we all know. And
in New York, that's so on point because you hear those voices, you hear those characters all day, you see it all day. So you're doing something everyone can relate to in the room. And they can't believe it's coming from you.
They can't believe it. And that's why I say it's a little like a ventriloquist at a rock concert because you're like, what is this? This is interesting. All right. Yeah, give it up for this motherfucker. Brave. That's what I got all the time.
But you're so brave. And that threw you in
But that was where I got into the scene. So I won that contest. Man, I won that contest 4 times in a row. It got to the point where I would show up and they'd like, no, Jessica, you know, they'd be mad. I beat Wanda Sykes out one night. I fucking beat out fucking Mike Epps. I beat out the big fucking, you know.
That is so
Dean
wild.
Edwards. Yeah. I love those guys. I love those guys.
I love Epps and Sykes. I remember watching their specials like young as shit. Like Mike Epps is like one of his specials I probably watched like 30 times.
Right?
Like, and then when he landed the role in Friday, you're like, oh, you stole the movie.
Yeah.
Day stole the movie.
Yeah.
So I can't even believe that. I'm so proud of hearing that. And I can't wait to get you on here to hear the story. I wanted to hear your story, not just at an open mic, us shooting shit, but like live. And I wanted the listeners to be able to hear it because there's not another comedian, even none of our experience altogether will ever touch what you've been through. And I think it's so important for our comedians to know what coming up in real comedy was in a different era in a big city.
Yes. And it was very hard.
I think that's so wild.
Dude, Patrice O'Neal used to yell at us and tell us not to come around for 6 months. Don't fucking come around this open mic again for 6 months. Go work on your shit. I want to hear jokes.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, I respect that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't clap for kids here when there was a kid at the mic last night and he's like, I'm new. This is my first time. And everyone's like, yeah. And he goes, no, don't clap for me. And I wasn't clapping. Mm-mm. And I'm like, good for him. Good for him. That's how you do it. You don't just, yay. I've yelled at people for clapping. Alex was getting claps at Inside Out last year when I first came and I didn't know anybody. And I watched this on TV and I thought it looked easy so I could do it.
To do comedy.
Yeah. And these dudes next to me clapped and I fucking turned. I go, don't you fucking clap at that. And they go, don't clap. And I was like, no. And I didn't know, I didn't know anyone here. And I was like, bitch, you're not gonna make any friends.
It is, you know what? But I come from. I was just talking to Maverick earlier too. Like it takes me a while to really open up to people and really like give like. In hip hop, you come from no easy props, like no faking the funk, no half stepping. Yeah. It's like you have to really come correct. Yeah. And I could almost tell when your intention is in the right place and it's not genuine. Right. And so that's my biggest thing is like, I wait till I see someone come. Even now in comedy, I was like, I don't like when people have a bad approach. I don't like when people are super green. No. I don't like any of that. I'll wait. Like Jay Cotero, he's been in the scene for about a year too.
I love Jakey.
Love him. But today was the first night I really expressed that because it's like, yo, I see your approach is right and you're consistent and you're in this. Working. But there's a lot of times where I've seen other open micers, like someone jump in the scene and because we're so starving for more comedians that the people are like, oh, you're so funny, like you gotta come back, and they're not. No. And then it blows their head up and those people are like, oh, this is easy, I'm good. Like, yeah, no. And then no, I've seen so many people. You gotta
get yelled at.
Yeah, exactly. or they come to an open mic, but they bring like 13 of their friends and coworkers. Yeah. So it's like, I love that stuff because like, ooh, we have a little audience. Yeah, audience. I'm like, wait, put them at the end. Put them at the end.
Yeah. But it's hard, man. It's hard.
So how long were you in New York doing comedy before did you go from New York to Hollywood?
No, well, they had what was crazy about the Def Jam. So it was I was a year in New York, but doing like the Bronx, Brooklyn, Long Island. Like I'm talking about on Long Island, there was a club called Nagasaki's that was a Japanese, it was like a sushi joint or some shit, but they turned it into a reggae club in the night on the weekends.
That is wild.
Yeah, so it was packed out. Reggae,
like some fucking Asian dude with dreads. He's like,
and then all of a sudden, comedy time. And everyone's like, what? They turn off the fucking music.
Full ambush show.
Yeah, like comedy time. And there were so many shows like that where they would tell us like, yeah, they know. Everybody knows there's going to be comedy. And we'd show up and be like, this is a full club, like going off and people just having the best time. So
you want them to stop and just listen to us talk?
Oh my God, dude. And I would get so much shade because I'm alone. You know, I go by myself. I take the train up or the whatever. It's public transport all the way. A white chick by herself in the club. Bitch, what the fuck? I got a lot of teeth sucked at me, you know?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see that. I see that for sure.
Yeah. So, but then I would go on stage and then, oh my God, I would get numbers, you know, from girls. Like girls, it's my fucking girl. Yep, like they would freak out. Or like Puerto Rican girls coming up to me, you sounded just like my cousin. You know, like everybody like having so much
love. And I think the dopest thing is like you said, you're going up there and doing these characters, but your energy you don't have like a malicious energy at all. Nah. And that's the thing is you could be in like you're like connecting with these people, but you're not making fun of them, their culture, and that's very apparent. It's very apparent that you're not coming in a malicious place. And that's my favorite thing is when you take these swings on stage, you could tell you, like I said, like I love seeing people that like you could say stuff that I can never say, and I want to see how you do that on stage. And I know that and it's very different. Like all three of us could do different stuff that we can't do, but to see how you maneuver it is my favorite thing. And I could like going back to these characters. That's why these people connect with you because like you are my cousin. You're not making fun of my cousin.
No, and I'm giving props. Like I never. Like I said, I was raised by a woman who didn't like white people. So it's in my blood kind of to just give props to the people that I meet throughout my life. Yes. And to kind of give them like a platform, if you will. That's what I always say. Like tonight, even you weren't in the room, but I did like a native voice. Like once in a while, I'll do a native voice. Because I'm doing something about like it was something about like the wind, like the ancient wind, you know, because it was very windy. Yeah, for sure. And let me tell you, everyone was fucking spikes up their ass except for my homie.
Except for Julian.
Julian with the fucking dying laughing, and he's all, I was gonna yell out, we could finish the ceremony later.
Yeah, that's like,
I go, thanks, funny. Bro, because I go, look, I don't need the validation, but I really like it because it means that I'm not malicious. I'm not doing something to fuck with people because that's not my why. Why would I do this?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to connect, and what I'm only ever doing also is telling stories of things that happened to me or people I know.
I think it really just struck a chord with me that you said that, because now that I think about it, going back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, like I have the least amount of support from Latino people.
Yeah.
The most support I get in being friends with Josh Fournier, being so close with him the last 4 years, sharing each other's cultures. He has a lot of my following, and I have a lot of his following. Yeah. But I've said this before, and I said again, I have 10 times, if not more, a native following and support than I do Latino. I could say 15, 20 times. Like the native support I get is literally beautiful. Like I feel so much love from it. And even the black support that I get here from our black community. Like I walk up to the UBR crowd and they're like, yo, there's that dude. And like, and I feel that so much. I never get that from the Latino community.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Yeah. And I get it, and I have to win them over, but that's like, I'm figuring out my ways to do that too, and my ways to connect. So I think it's really, it's all right to find the people that fuck with you and just go from there.
I think so. Yeah. I think you just go where it's warm. And like, I think for a long time I was really freaked out that I was in this, like, not a long time, but like the year that I was doing it, really, it was like in this box where I couldn't even go to the clubs when it wasn't like chocolate Sundays, you know what I mean? And I was like, how come I can't play on the other nights? And they'd be like, no, we've seen your set. You make our people, like they would tell me, you make everyone nervous. You're talking about stuff you shouldn't be talking about. You shouldn't do characters. Like I got all these notes, and I was just a kid starting out. So I was like, oh, I guess. But then the Def Jam people saw me. I guess it was like just another show that I was booked on in the circuit. And they saw me, and then they started to kind of want to like manage me and put me. So I was doing like the black colleges in the East Coast. And so I would go, and again, people would just be like, what in the fuck is this? Like, I don't understand why this lady's here. Nice. A girl, really. What's a girl doing here? And I usually would win them over. It wasn't 100%, but I'd usually. The younger
kids are a little bit harder.
Yeah, they're a little harder. But I also only had my like 8 minutes.
But now being in colleges, were they paying you to do these shows at this point?
Yeah.
And at this point, are you already doing a little bit better with cleaning up? Or are you still like on a little bit of both?
Yeah, no. I'm clean by now, because I knew when I won that contest, I was like, oh, I could do this.
Okay.
I could do this. So then I just kept going back to the contest. They had to like once a month maybe. So I would try to go to, like I said, try to go to the clubs, try to go to a mic, try to figure out what to do. But they weren't welcoming. Like it was very unwelcoming. Okay. And I still feel that, unfortunately. And I know I already have a defense up, even like in Santa Fe, like I was saying earlier, I already have a defense up. So I know it's halfway my problem as well. I could have given them material that would have been digestible for them and that they would have been okay with me there. But instead, 5 minutes in, I'm screaming, fuck you colonizers, to the Santa Fe audience. You're like, I guess that's not probably going to make them like me. But I go, fuck you. I have my mom's blood in me, and I'm like, I get riled up. And
it's crazy how you notice that, where it comes from. And like you said, that really is it. I walked into, I talked about it on the podcast last time, but I did this show Saturday that was the most hood show I've done in Albuquerque, heart of the war zone. It's all these like record labels and all these people that like freaking suavecito in their hair, and Latinos, brothers. Like there's a dude in a bulletproof vest that says Burke Records and a beret on. There's a chick in like this FUBU short set and like hoop earrings out. You can like.
That was my next story for you. Okay.
And so I really don't day drink, but I had a comedian buddy in town. We were having a blast. We had went and did like a little whiskey tasting before, and I walked into this room with this like fuck all this attitude, but not in a negative way. I'm like, I don't give a shit. But I kept saying I don't give a shit, and I went up there, and my first joke goes, "Oh, this looks like the Mexican version of Fast and Furious in here." So y'all look like Fast and Fabuloso. And there was like 5 like bald dudes, all like jacked, like Vato dudes. Also, there's like 5 guys in here right now that look like Dominic Toretto. And I point out one, well, you look like Dominic Doritos. And I started cooking, and I went into a joke, like I set up. I was like, I'm from the North Valley. Anybody fuck with the North Valley? Like crickets. I was like, oh no, this is a South Valley honest. I know the fuck I'm at. And I was like, I pointed out the dude in the bulletproof vest. I was like, this girl right here looks like South Valley Spice, and it got like a good laugh, and I was just, but they could tell I wasn't like malicious. I was just like having in the fun zone. And that girl came up to me and followed, like, same thing like the Puerto Rican. She followed me after. She's like, you're so funny, fucker. Yeah. What's your shit? Like, I'll come out and support you. And I'm like, and so Oh, you guys, we got our first appearance.
Oh, wow.
We knew it would happen. It took 26 episodes.
I'm so excited it happened.
But Litton, the kitten, our mascot, finally made it on the show. What's up, Buzz?
How come he doesn't attack you?
He scratched me right when you said that. He scratched me right. Okay, all right. Go, Liddy. Go.
Sorry.
It's all right. That's our first appearance.
Angel threw the towel at him.
Oh,
shit. Get the towel.
He went full like Squeeze. I'm going to lay in your lap. I'm going to lay in your lap. Scratch your quad. He's like, that was so dope. We knew it would happen. But
oh my God!
In this show, it's good luck when the black cat comes on your lap.
Whoa. Yeah, hell
whoa.
Yeah. Well, it's not actually black cats for it's again another racist scene that's held up by the European situation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, witches actually had calico cats.
Okay,
multicolored.
Shit.
Yeah, because calico only usually is bred as a female.
That is wild. So that is a fucking good thing to know.
Yeah.
I used to be like so weirded. I've always been the dog guy. You know me and my dogs.
Yeah.
And I used to be like weird with cats, but it wasn't until like I had a buddy that had like a super cool cat that just wanted pets like a dog. And then when Angel got Litton, that's like the one like I've gotten close. I was never like cool with a cat like that before. So
you seem cool with him.
Yeah, he's the buddy. It's funny that brought up the witches thing because one thing I was gonna say is I was starting to realize like who we connect to, and I was starting to realize the audiences I didn't connect to, and I noticed I do well with the ethnic audience. I do well with women.
Yes,
but the dudes did not like me. And I always joke around that I'm boyfriend's least favorite comedian.
Yeah.
Because girls will be
because girls want to fuck you. Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah.
And guys hate that. And girls won't laugh at me if they're with their guy and he's not laughing.
Oh, I get that. I see now.
So
I see the difference.
couples are hard.
So now I started targeting. I have like guys jokes, and I have a whole joke about not being a guy's guy, and it's a way to connect to their audience. Like I know Smart. I'm not you. Let me tell you how much I know, me and you. And then I started to notice like real woke chick, like the witchy chicks, the real woke girls, like they were really feeling me. So I wrote a joke about witches, and I wrote a whole joke. And I figured out a way to like connect. So now when I go into rooms, that's when I like do my read the room and like, oh, I'm telling the witches joke. Oh, I'm telling the Bad Ellis joke. But it's like kind of nerdy telling the Harry Potter joke. Like, but I started writing for people that didn't like me. And now I'm noticing like connections in audiences that I didn't before.
That's smart.
So
I went the opposite way and just cursed them out.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you can't come back to this club.
She's like lighting a Molotov cocktail. She's like, this is my new closer.
I have stink bomb to play.
Stink bomb.
I stink bomb.
You're like the female Joker. I love it. I love it.
I'm definitely diabolical.
You have a bang gun. Bam.
I crushed it and pushed it under the couch. Yeah,
I love that.
No, I fucked up a place a couple times.
A
couple places. And you know what? It's not a good idea to do that, especially if you want to get success. Like all the things. Okay, so I'll finish the Def Jam, right?
Yes.
So I go to, they hire me to do it. And I'm like, really? This is my mom's dream. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm going to have my mom finally like me. And, she preferred black people. So I get the job, but they're taking us to LA to shoot it.
Okay.
Which is totally weird because we've all, at least the New Yorkers that they cast, we'd only done the circuit in New York, Bronx, Brooklyn, Long Island. Like I said, I once did a YMCA in Brooklyn where they paid us in chicken. Like that was for real. So like spread a fucking chicken. So
eat all you want.
Everything. And I remember, I'll never forget the host, Talent. He said after I got off stage, he goes, how about give it up for the white girl? Give it up for the white girl. I think she's pretty cool. Like she would have ran this chicken out to us in back in the day. Am I right? Like I thought I was so flattered. I was like, oh, thank God. I love because for my mom. So I go to do Def Jam. They take us to fucking LA.
Okay.
And they go and what they did was they pick you up in a van. It's a Def Jam van, and they go to each terminal and they get people from different parts of the country that are all coming to do the show. So like. They picked up like 6 of us from New York. I was with like Greer Barnes and I think Craig Robinson was on this fucking episode, and Dean Edward, Todd Lynn, may he rest in peace. So there were a bunch of really cool cats that I knew from New York. We all flew out together. We were all excited on the fucking, oh my God. Yeah, we get in the van. And then you go to each terminal, and there's like Atlanta and Chicago and St. Louis, and there's all these people get in the van. And this girl, the only other girl, this black girl, she gets in the van and she's like, hey. And I'm like, hey. So we become friends. And so we're like friends, and we at the hotel. And the theater they're doing it at, it's not in South Central. It's not in Inglewood. It's not in any black neighborhood. It's in Beverly Hills.
Oh, shit.
So we're like, what? Why would you... I've only done... Like,
why would you take us to the fully opposite element of people we connect to?
Yeah.
The opposite.
It was because, you know why? It was because when Def Jam stopped for a while.
Okay.
Then they tried to bring it back. And this was the resurrection that they tried.
Okay.
And they had a different host for every single show, and they had it in LA in Beverly Hills, and it was all fancy, and like we pulled up, I'll never forget. Well, the girl I was friends with, we went shopping at the mall and we got outfits and it was so cute. And then I was like, I'm so nervous, like the night of. I'm like, I'm so nervous. I go, aren't you nervous? She goes, what are you nervous for? You're just a stylist. She didn't know I was a comic.
Oh my God.
She couldn't believe I was a comic.
And this whole time I was going to ask her, I said, it wasn't like you said you guys, it was all love. She wasn't like, oh, this is competition. No. So at first she thought you weren't even a comic.
Not a comic.
Okay, so did the vibe change when she found out you were a comic?
No, she was cool. Like, God damn, you're brave. Like, that's what everyone kept saying to me. You're so brave. You're so brave. I'm like, yeah, but am I funny? Like, I just want to hear that I'm funny. Okay. I don't care brave.
Yeah, I know.
I've been brave my whole fucking life.
Exactly.
I don't need that, validation. So we go to LA, and again, it's celebrities in the audience, and they keep stopping the show and like, oh, give it up for, Lil Wayne's in the crowd. Like, it was so embarrassing, like how how
catered it was.
Yeah, and it was like star fucking. Ugh. And in New York, it was the opposite. The total opposite. Adele Givens, one of my favorite black comedian ladies, fucking fantastic. She had a whole bit about black people, let's not keep buying designer. Why the fuck are we buying designer shit? Go get your knockoffs. Go get your, and it worked. It killed in New York. In Beverly Hills, cricket. Most of us did terribly. I mean, I did there were 2 cholos in the crowd or love me. Aha! Like, oh, she's stupid. And it was, but everyone else was like, what? Ugh. Like, all the black girls in the crowd sounded like the white girl character that I did. Oh,
they were all like Valley Girls.
Yeah, like, what is she doing?
Oh my God.
Like, you're so brave. Oh my God, you're so brave. And I'm like, what? So then I get off stage and Russell Simmons come give me a hug. You're so brave, he said. I said, dude, was I funny? Yeah. He goes, yeah, you're funny. We'll talk. So I'm like, all right, cool. So the dude who was kind of like managing me, he calls me up like a couple weeks later. He's like, all right, we want to talk to you about, what we're going to do next. I was like, okay, excitement. He goes, yeah, speaking of FUBU, he goes, we would like to put you in braids and FUBU probably, or like something like that. Mm-hmm. And I go, well, 100% no. Are you fucking out of your mind? The reason people like me is because I'm me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not trying to pander or be weird. Like, hi, you guys. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's like if I came fully dressed up in like a cholo, like tank top, white beater, tucked in high socks, like, which some people do.
I know.
But
maybe, just maybe, some of that is real.
So did you draw your boundary where you're like,
yeah, nah. I said, no way. I was mad.
Good.
I was like, no way. How dare you? This is me.
The only reason it's working is because it's organic.
It's because it's me.
Yeah.
I go, you know me. And he's like, well, I guess we can't work together then. Fucking broke my heart. I mean, imagine you're 1 year in, you were getting paid, you get on the biggest fucking black comedy show, at least, that there ever was.
For comedy in general, Def Jam was just, it was it. It was like Def Jam, Premium Blend. Yeah. There was a few things, but that Def Jam.
The half-hour Comedy Central half-hour, or like
or the late night spots.
Yeah.
But that was.
Or BET, had their, but this was, and Cedric the Entertainer was my host, and he was so nice, and I have the whole joke about it, but it's like, that was for real. He said, for your next comedian, keep an open mind. Mm-hmm. And now it's a joke that I do, because for real. But I quit. I was like, they broke my heart, like smashed it into pieces, and I quit. And that's when those Lower East Side people were like, yes, come to us. Okay. We also hate comedy. You know, they were like, we thought maybe you'd do okay out there, but come back to the theater. This is where you belong. Yeah. And I did like one lady shows or whatever, you know, for a couple years, but I couldn't stop. Okay. I couldn't stop. So I think probably in 2000
I was just going to say, what year are we? About 2000 now.
Yeah, I came back because I was like, I can't.
Your story is honestly something amazing. Like you got to write a comedy book. Girl,
I've written a book.
You are amazing. You got to get it passed off to the right person. I honestly feel honored to just get to hear your story and be with you sometime. And that comes from the realest place. Like we don't have, I specifically as a comedian don't have anybody to pass this knowledge on, to tell me that they were a part of these amazing things. I think this is more, I mean, you know, it's almost a joke that they're doing a 5-year roast to me tomorrow, because it's like the things you've accomplished, girl, are just tremendous. Like it gives all of us comedians something to look forward to. And
well, thank you, but I have to say, I watch you all do it, and I realize I've never really done it right. I have to be honest and say, like, the amount of times I've sabotaged myself in this business, the amount of times I've said no to things, but also the amount of times that I got like sex, sex. It was like people wanted me to fuck them in order to get the spot, and I didn't.
That's something we didn't even touch on at this point, is how wrong the intentions of people.
Yeah, and it's a dark club, and everyone's fucked up, and it's late at night, and there's no security, and there's no HR.
Everybody's offering you rides home.
Yeah, everyone. And let me give you some notes on your comedy, and all that stuff, and like, I never sucked a dick that helped me. I never fucked anyone who could help me. I never did it like, I knew women that did it, and no judgment. Yeah. I just couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And I heard some women told me, oh, you don't have to fuck him. Just act like you want to fuck him. For this one guy that booked this really big thing that I have wanted to do, and I never gave in. I never like sacrificed. Like, I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like that part, and my mom was an actor, and my mom would do anything for a part. You know what I'm talking about?
So maybe that was the reason why you stayed so strong and staying true to yourself. I think that's dope. I think that's really something to be proud of.
Thank you, but didn't help me.
It didn't help you, but it's like everybody makes it at a different time, and I think your story is tremendous, and it just takes the right ear to hear this and put you back on. Yeah, because it's really beautiful. I mean, we got to where are we at on time, Ani?
It's probably long.
We're almost at an hour 55.
Okay, cool. So.
Hour 55?
No, we're at 55 minutes.
Oh, God. So. Jesus Christ, Angel.
No, we're perfect. So, no, that's awesome. Yo, if it's okay with you, I'd love to end at year 2000 and bring you back for an episode 2. Because I think I would love to pick right back where you're at, right after Def Jam Comedy, where your career goes from that. I want to hear how you get to Hollywood. But you are someone I think we need to have a series of you on. I don't just want to have this like one Jess Wood story because... you have so much to offer.
I love the Kill Tony story, dude. You should wait to hear that one.
Well, we already know we're going for episode 2.
I love that shit.
Just so you know, everybody here loves you. When you did Anna's podcast, he was the one that was like, you have to get Jess Wood on. He's like, we had
a really good talk, and one of the things that I really love about being here and about being like the elder, comic to a lot of people is that I get to share things, and I get to treat people how I never was treated, and like how I yearned for this. I yearned for like an older comedian to just turn to me and be like, "Hey, you're doing great," or "Hey, I'm really proud of you," or "You can do that. There's no such thing as an easy laugh. Fuck these people. Get up there and try to get a fucking easy laugh. I dare you." All these things that are like these gentle reminders or gentle, like loving, like affirmations from my community that I never got. Jesus, it was very, very cutthroat where I was at both places, New York and LA. And, I had Amy Schumer come up to me like a gang member. Who booked you on this? Who booked you on this?
Oh, damn.
Who booked you on this? who booked you. And I didn't like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And people would fuck with me. Like I hung out with a tough guy comic, Mikey D, God rest his soul. He, amazing comedian, but he was like, I used to be a drug counselor, but before that, I was a drug addict. You know what I mean? Like, he was fucking hilarious. But he used to say to me, Jessica, I don't understand. You fucking hang out with gang members. You're scared of some nerdy fucking comics. And I go, you don't understand, because these nerdy they have like I'm a dropout, I'm a degenerate. You know, I have all these things in my head that I think that I carry around with me. You know, old stories about,
of course,
what.
So that, you know, it's not even that you're afraid of them, but it's like these reminds you of all the kids that growing up you didn't connect with, all the kids in school that you didn't want to socialize in. Yeah, it brought you back to that.
Yeah, everything, because you know how they say comedy is like high school, and I go, I didn't go to high school. But I was in special ed in 9th grade, 10th grade, you know, and I go, I was in special ed in junior high. I was in 9th grade. My friend goes, that's high school, Jess. I go, I fucking told you I was in special ed, bitch. The fuck? You trying to test me? There's no test. I don't test well. But because I was in special ed, and I'm still friends with people from special ed class, because we didn't fit in anything else. You know what I mean? Sense. And so I have a harder time with people who are disingenuous, you know, disingenuous. I don't know, whatever that word is, where you're not authentic. I don't like it. And so in the comedy, everyone was fake.
Exactly.
On both sides. Yeah.
You
feel it. Everyone kissing their ass because they booked show, and oh man, yeah. Ooh, you want to fight? I'll help you with your son. I
love that you say that, and I love that you see that, and it's very apparent to you, because no matter what, and I feel that too, because I feel like I get a very mixed review in our scene of what comedian might say about me. But the one thing I feel like they will say is I've never been fake with them.
Mad respect. You get mad respect.
And I, you know, and sometimes maybe I just don't have the best outlook on myself, so sometimes I'm my own worst enemy. I'm like, no one really fucks with me, and I got to do this all on my own. And
we all are.
Yeah, so hearing that means a lot, because sometimes you're so in your own head. And like you said, comedy's like high school. I never thought about that. In high school, I was always around, but I wasn't around.
Right.
And that's kind of how I am in comedy. Like I'm by the room, but I'm not in the room.
Right.
And it's because it gives me anxiety. Like, it gives me anxiety to sit there until I go up. No disrespect.
I've made myself sit in the room. Yeah.
And no disrespect. Yeah, no disrespect to any comedian, because I know a lot of people are like, I wish Zach could have heard my set, or, you know. And if you wanted me to listen to your set, tell me, I will.
Yeah.
But it's just my social thing, and that's when I feel comfortable. And I never even thought about that. So we go back to where we revert to how that's really amazing insight for sure. I would love to ask you, you know, I got the Lobo Theater show off the ground.
Yes,
we have our first one May 29th, and I have a great lineup, but I would love for you to be on my second month show.
I would be flattered. I would love to. Are you kidding?
As long as I know that you're on, it's going to be an awesome show.
Hell yeah.
So for sure.
Thank you.
Of course, it's been so dope getting to know you, and I know this is probably one of the, you know, longest conversations we had in a while, but I hope to do this again soon and really be able to connect more, because this is really amazing. I don't think our comedy scene, not only our scene, but just the experiences you have with the people you've had, is astounding. And how you ended up in Albuquerque, New Mexico,
I know.
in our scene, and our little scene's at an all-time high right now, and I feel it.
It's beautiful, dude. When I go out of town from here, you know, El Paso, Phoenix, Tucson, I've been out of town this last year. The quality of fucking comedy does not stand a chance, boo. Albuquerque is killing it. They are killing it. We are. And
it used to be like I'm like, I can name like 2 or 3 other people that'll rock a room. And now I'm like, no, I can name about like 6 or 7 people that'll rock. Like, so it's really grown to be something dope. I know you we're on the Guild show together.
We are.
May 13th.
Yeah.
So May 13th, come and see Jess Wood. She levels the Guild. She levels all the rooms that she's in.
I'm on Friday.
And are we on, what is Friday's show?
Friday's show is at a speakeasy.
Okay, yeah. So plug anything you had this week.
I don't know what the address is.
It's very cool. We'll get it out. So speakeasy. But March, this will be out, I think, Sunday. So May 13th, we'll get you that show for sure. We'll plug, you got to follow her on Jess Wood and Get Jess Wood.
It's Get Wood and Get Jess Wood.
And Get Jess Wood for the lives. Her lives are amazing.
Thank you.
I think
it's a podcast, so you can get it on all the streaming stuff. Get Wood.
Good, definitely. Like, plug all your stuff. I know that you are striking a chord with not only our comedians, our comedy scene, the females. You are so female empowering, and the stories you have to tell, I think, are so strong for women growing up today. And anyone that needs to hear somebody's story and how they've overcome and triumphed over different situations, and been in rooms that, you know, they didn't look like they belonged in, but they did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And your story is amazing. I can't wait to pick this back up.
Yeah.
Please plug anything else you have at all.
I don't know. I mean, I think that was it. Get Wood.
This has been my favorite pod, guys. This has been amazing. I really appreciate you coming on, and
I appreciate being here.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, just before we go, I was having a very similar crisis this week in regards to, like, I felt like I fell out of favor with the scene. I felt like I wasn't I had a job fall through that I was really looking forward to. The boy's not coming around to clean my pipes as much as I would like. Like, I have, and my ex is somewhere in the streets of Los Angeles. Like, but most of all, I was thinking about here, and I was thinking, wow, it's so beautiful. All y'all are you've embraced me so like nothing else, man. If nothing else, this has validated just who I am and what I do for me. So I wanted to say I'm really grateful, and thank you so much.
I mean, so much. That was
you.
really great. Ani, this has been a beautiful night, my brother.
You guys are awesome. You guys know what to do. Muse Me TV, Muse Me Studios, FiendCity Podcast, Spotify, iTunes, all the spots where you get podcasts. Go check it out, guys. You guys know what's up.
Hey, and FiendCity Podcast, we out. Young Ani, Jess,
hey,
let's go.
Woo.